Okay. We are here with the first official episode since the rebrand. And we thought, what better topic to dive into than periods? We are going to talk about periods, blood, all the good stuff, period poops, all that good stuff. So Laini Gray is here. And Laini, we're just going to dive in and start talking about periods. We'll do your introduction here in just a little bit. So, first, I'm so excited you're here. I love you. Let's talk about like some periods and some poop and stuff.
Awesome. So I love this topic because, first of all, growing up, I never talked about my period. I didn't actually know what my period was. I mean, I knew I had it, right? And I didn't really know what it was for other than making babies. Yes, we all know that. But then as I got into my 30s, I started to have some weird symptoms. And I'm like, what is this? And I was a health coach. And then I became a functional diagnostic practitioner. And so I started working with people's health. And I started to understand what the menstrual cycle really is and how important our estrogen and progesterone are. And that we as women have no idea how our body actually works. And then whenever something's wrong, we run to the doctor looking for a quick fix, like, hey, I'm having this. And it's so much more complex. But if we don't understand why we have a period, what the menstrual cycle is, it's really hard to get to the root cause and figure things out. So now I talk about periods, poop, perimenopause, blood, cramps, all the things all the time. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, well, and we'll just dive right into it without tiptoeing around it. Like you had said, a lot of times we go to the doctor because we don't really know what's
Mhm.
going on. We haven't unpacked it. We don't even know we have an option of unpacking it deeper or at a holistic level. And we're prescribed birth control. I mean, holy shit. I was put on birth control at 11 and then again at 16. Didn't go off it until I started trying for my son at 23. Like, what is that? Why do you think doctors are just like, I don't know, go on birth control? Oh, you're having issues with your iron? Go on birth control. Oh, you have this? Go on
Mhm.
birth control. Like, it's always go on birth control.
Yeah, it's crazy phenomenon. I don't know exactly why we've been doing this for so long. But the reality is, our hormones are very complex. And so, if we just take the average 28-day menstrual cycle, during that time, our hormones fluctuate. We have a higher estrogen level in the first half, higher progesterone in the second half. But truly, we have different hormone levels on every single day of the month.
Yes. Did you guys hear that? Will you repeat that really fast? And then I'm going to
We have
elaborate on it.
different hormone levels every single day of the month. Quite literally,
Yes.
you are not the same person from day to day.
Yes. Oh, see, and I swear people look at me and they think I'm crazy because over the years, I mean, it's no secret if you've been around me, I have become less and less filtered. The mask has come off. Like I am, as I learn and grow, just a very authentic expression of myself. And I don't hide things well. Sometimes I try to. I don't hide things well. And so I will shift throughout my cycle and I'm like, fuck, I swear to God, I'm like four different people every month. And when you own a business, this will be great for all of those
Mhm.
women out there that own a business or you this big important role in a business. You are made to feel like you have to be perfect, primed, and consistent throughout the entire month. And you know how hard that is to authentically actually show up as such. It's so fucking difficult. And I just released a podcast episode, I think 2 episodes ago. So this is perfect for you to come in and explain, the science behind it, where I'm like, women are not meant to be consistent.
Uh-uh.
I mean, look at what's happening. And you were just saying, not only are you going through 4 different phases every month, but your hormones are, playing a different game throughout those 4 different
Totally.
phases.
Totally. And I think that's part of why birth control gets, misprescribed a lot is because
Mm.
there's so many variations through the month, right? So when you're trying to help someone on day 7, it's different than helping them on day 14 and 21 and 28 because we're different. But with birth control, now remember, birth control is designed to help us control getting pregnant. And it does a very great job at that. But the way it does that is by shutting off our natural production of hormones. So when a doctor prescribes birth control for acne, for migraines, for everything, he or she, no judgment,
Mm-hmm.
he's not looking at the variations through the month. He's just saying, let's turn them off and then we don't have to have the symptoms.
Oh my
And
gosh. Like, you
that's
have
what's
mild
really
acne? Get on
frustrating.
birth
Yeah.
control. It's like, oh my God.
Yes. And there is a hormone component to those symptoms, But the way we've addressed it for the last couple of decades is really wrong. Rather than teaching women how their body works and the things that they can do to change it and support it, we're like, here's a pill so we can just shut it off until later.
Well, yeah,
And
because you
then,
don't even
yeah,
realize what's happening. We're not doctors. You go to the
totally.
professional expecting them to have your complete best interest at heart, not even understanding that there's these other options. That's why I wish, like, yes, sometimes, that medical route is in your best interests,
Mhm.
yet we're not being educated on these other options. Like, hey, maybe try X, Y, and Z first because, this isn't as extreme on your body. If that doesn't work, yeah, come back and we'll have a conversation versus the first 2 minutes.
Totally.
Here's these pills. Bye. Next.
Yeah. And that's not to say that birth control isn't appropriate at certain times. It
Oh,
definitely
absolutely.
is, right? So
Mhm.
so I'm not anti-birth control, but I am anti throwing a pill or something at a woman that turns off her hormones without telling her why you're doing it and without explaining the side effects. So we've all seen the commercials on TV, right? Everything that's supposed to save your life has like how many side effects to it?
Mhm.
And possibility of death, right? The whole thing. You're like, oh my gosh. Birth control is the same. There is a list of side effects. And I would beg to, the question, how many of you have actually read the side effects associated with birth control
None.
use?
I don't even think the one I was on majority of my teenage and early 20s is on the market anymore. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, and you don't, and our parents, our moms feel like they're doing the best. You go and
Totally.
you're just like, I don't need to read through all this. Like, this everyone's on this. And that's the other thing. It's like, well, majority's doing this. So odds are, it's probably fine.
Yeah, totally. And the one thing I will say now that I educate people about this all the time is like, first of all, we don't judge the past, right? We did
Yeah,
the best with the information we had. Okay.
absolutely.
But now that we're here, if we're choosing to learn something, now we can make better decisions and then help others make better decisions for their health. So
Yeah.
let's, yeah, right. So, like, yeah, we got to get serious and talk about this, but we're not going to like feel bad about things we
Oh,
did in
yeah.
the
Or like
past.
call your mom and chew them out. It's like they did the
No.
best with what they knew at the time. And I mean,
Yes.
I of course went through my phase too, where I was like, damn it, mom. And then I'm like, you know what? She didn't have all of this information and all this connection and all these resources like we have now. The
Totally.
internet, like all of this, Instagram, all these different social media things where now, you go on TikTok and you're like, okay, birth control videos, teach me shit. Like,
Yes. And they
so
tell
much
you.
stuff comes up. Yeah. And they tell you. Yeah, so I feel like that is a great place to get started as far
Yeah.
as just understanding those different hormonal shifts.
Mhm.
So, if you had someone coming to you that wanted to know their cycle beyond using it to get pregnant or to not get pregnant, where would you start?
So first, I just want to talk about the fact that, everything shifts and there's a whole system to this. It's really beautiful. So first, I want to make a comparison. So we all know about circadian rhythms,
Yes.
right? So that's day night, right? The sun comes up, the sun goes down. And there are a couple of hormones that work in circadian rhythms. Our cortisol works on a circadian rhythm. Our melatonin works on a circadian rhythm. Our testosterone kind of works on a circadian rhythm. Men's hormones work on a circadian rhythm. Okay. So that's one reason why we've been trained to work like a man all the time and be consistent. For women, we live by an infradian rhythm, which means we change every day of the month. So it's called infradian.
I never
So
even
we,
heard that term.
yes.
This is
So
something we need to learn
circadian,
in home ec.
yeah.
Shit.
Circadian is 24 hours. Infradian is a longer period of time. So in this case, 28 to 30 days. So it's like a moon cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in that first part, so the first day of your period is actually day one of your cycle.
Mhm.
Both of your hormones are low. Now, think about how you typically feel during your period.
Your
A little
estrogen
bit
and your
tired.
progesterone
Yep,
are
both
both
of
low.
them are low,
Okay. Okay.
right? And so you're purging, you're getting rid of the lining and all of those
Yeah, the
things. You're
blood
kind of
things.
clearing out. You
Mhm.
kind of some people feel really exhausted, and that's okay because the hormones are at their lowest. But
Okay.
then estrogen starts to rise. Now, estrogen's your feel good hormone, your let's get it on hormone, that dang, I look good hormone,
Is that
right?
why
So,
your follicular and your ovulation are like just the funnest parts of your cycle?
yes, yes,
Or
100%.
estrogen is going up. Okay.
Yes. So, estrogen's on the rise, that follicle's getting ready to pop out at ovulation. And there's a system to this. We're at our highest point at ovulation. So, when you're talking about, yeah, when you're owning a business, that ovulatory phase is the time to do presentations, to go out and meet people, have a date night, have whatever, all the fun things should be in that phase where estrogen's high because you feel really confident.
Yeah, or even batch
And then,
content creation. Oh my God. You're just
yes,
like, I am
yes.
so smart. Like I can do
Totally. Your
all these things.
hormones are primed. Your brain works better, cardiovascularly you're stronger, you can handle harder workouts during that. And then after you ovulate, if you don't get pregnant, right, the corpus luteum, or what the egg came out of, the follicle, starts to produce progesterone. So in the second half of your cycle, we have this upsurge of progesterone. And this is your mellow out, chill, anti-anxiety, sleep hormone. So it's super cool. It kind of calms you down. So we have this first 2 weeks of ramping things up, and then 2 weeks of kind of slowing things back down so that we can start it all over again.
Well, and I feel like when you try and force your body to stay in that like follicular ovulation phase, it's like, no, 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 we got to keep vamping it up. You start to come against more friction. And
Oh,
that's when it's like,
totally.
okay, I need more caffeine. No, quit being a
Yep.
little bitch. Like, let's go, let's do this.
Yes.
Like, boss up. And your body doesn't like that. And it's not, this is what I am trying to scream so loudly, especially since, I mean, you've known me for a while now. Like, I came from this heavy place of like masculinity and like I am a boss babe and I'm gonna fucking go and do everything Amanda does and make all this money, while I was a single mom. And that was great and all, and it's not sustainable. My body literally just gave out. And so that's why I try and not pre-warn or preach or judge anyone, just try and educate and be like, hey,
Yeah.
so you can still be fucking incredible and sort of understand your body and these different rhythms that we go through every single month. Because again, with, feminism and all of that, there's been this huge shift of like, well, shit, women can do anything a man can do. So let's
Mhm.
fucking go. Yet nothing's changed at home. We're trying to run these big badass CEO
Mhm.
businesses while also making sourdough and raising amazing kids and
Yes.
being phenomenal partners and having these immaculate homes and having a green yard. It's like, that's
Yes.
impossible. This standard we are holding ourselves to is impossible. And our hormones are paying such a price. I go to I think it's an active family chiropractor here. I think it's called neurolinking.
Okay.
And she just explains, she's like, why do you think, women are starting to have so many issues with their hormones, so many
Mhm.
issues with their thyroid, or all of a sudden, all this generation has these different autoimmune conditions? It's not just this
Yes.
magical thing that popped out of nowhere.
Totally. And
Oh,
that's
God.
that's the really interesting thing too, to coming back to that. Like think about the seasons,
Mm-hmm.
right? The seasons are different. There's four main seasons, and we have this really growing season and this harvest season, and then we slow down and we regenerate. And that's what we have as a female every single month. And it's freaking awesome. It really, really is.
Like,
Like if you take the stress off and think about the fact that, and this obviously I did not learn this in my 20s or 30s. I wish I had. But right, instead of starting every whatever and going, okay, I'm going to do this, and this. What if you thought about, oh, I have a month to focus on one, and I'm going to do something really good, and then I'm going to get down and take a list of things that went well, reevaluate, and next month I'm going to use my hormones to tackle something else,
that.
and then the next thing, right? And when you think about a period, we're letting go of the what we don't need,
Mm-hmm.
right? The uterine lining, things
Setting.
like that. Yes, we're shedding what our body doesn't need. That's what we can do emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, what do we want to let go of every single month, not just once every decade when we're
Yeah.
so bogged down that we're like, I got to get rid of this and him and her. And,
It's
what
like,
if
oh
we did
shit,
that
I'm in
house
burnout
cleaning
mode.
every month? What if we did that every month?
Oh, that's so good. And I feel like at first it's really difficult because not a
Mhm.
lot of women are doing this, at least not, very candidly or openly. And so you
Right.
start to feel, lazy, or especially when you're not actually in the winter season. Because
Yep.
again, throughout the month, I mean, we have winter and spring and fall. Wait, I miss summer.
Yeah.
Winter and spring and summer and fall. And you keep cycling
Yes.
through them. And I understand it can get difficult to allow your body to rest. And again, there's things that pop up and shit. I scheduled the speaking event on day one of my period,
Totally.
unavoidable, but it's not something I'm going to try and do intentionally.
Yeah.
But it does get hard because you're like, well, God, I can't slow down. These people around me haven't slowed down. And if I slow down, I'm going to fall behind. I
Hmm.
mean, there really technically is no behind. And if
Right.
you are honoring and listening to your body really well, you're going to make such strides for yourself. Like you'd said, especially in that follicular phase and the ovulation phase. And I
Totally.
love how you're like, well, maybe pick one thing, like say you're working on a book. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, really carve out intentional time during that phase of your period to like go ham on that book. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah, just and I think like it really stood out for me coming from the fitness background as a
Mm-hmm.
personal trainer, right? And training women and going, oh my gosh, these women can't stick to their program. They're like, oh, they're not showing up for workouts and all this. And then even myself, it's okay if I'm having a bad day. I got to go. I got to go do all the cardio, do all the lifting, do all the things. Well, nobody gets ahead during that phase anyway. When you come to the gym or whatever your workout or movement is, and you're in that phase where you're just physically exhausted, because the body is making a huge shift at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you try to push yourself to the workout. How many of us actually have a good workout,
Right. Or you just leave
right?
feeling
And
like shit about yourself.
yeah,
And
totally. So it's like, what if, because the other thing with women, we're always going, going, going. And so one of the things I'll ask is, have you thought about yoga? And this is my favorite answer. I don't have time. It's too slow.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's plug that in to the last week of your phase, right?
Yeah.
I know you don't have time during week 1 and week 2 because you're off and running. But what if we thought about the cyclical type, programming? And it's true in fitness and strength and anything that you want to learn, you have to learn it and then you have to pause and make sure it gets programmed into your brain,
Absolutely.
right?
It
You have
takes
to go to
time.
sleep to actually learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go to sleep every night, you can't actually learn. If you don't take a break from working out, you can't actually get stronger,
That's amazing.
right?
That's
Yeah.
well, Lainey, this is actually probably a great time to, kind of introduce and go into some of your background. So as we said, your name is Laini Gray. Do you want to explain a little bit about what you do for a living, your title, and how all that stuff works? Like how you are the professional here. I'm so excited.
Yes. So, yes, I'm Laini Gray. I'm a functional health practitioner. I specialize in women's hormones and gut health. So I
Mm.
help busy, health minded women take control of their hormone health and their overall health by getting them access to the right lab tests and resources so we can get to the root of what's causing their symptoms and issues. And then we really dial in the lifestyle. We really teach them, we being me, really teach them
It's
how
me.
we,
It's me. At
we
least
over
you're
here.
honest.
Sometimes there's a couple of us, right? Depends on the day of the cycle.
Mhm.
But teaching women how to work with their body rather than against it using nutrition, movement, stress management, sleep, surrounding yourself with positivity, right? How can we empower ourselves to do better? But my part is really the data and the strategy and the functional lab work because we can guess what's going on inside, but it's better to get the actual data. So I help women get that.
Yes, and to have that support because
Mhm.
holy shit, again, it is not a waste of time to pay attention to your physical health. It is
Yeah, right?
and it's crazy. I remember thinking this though, like I'm like, no, 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 I'm healthy. Like I'm training for marathons and I'm eating vegan and I
Mhm.
feel like complete shit, but it's fine. I'm being healthy. I am what the internet says is healthy. And then when you
Right.
break it down further, and I mean, it goes beyond like understanding that we are all individually such different people, like what I do for
Totally.
a living. But then you
Mhm.
extend it further and you're like, okay, health wise, all of us are so different. We need
Yes.
different diets, different environments, different, even when knowing that all females have those four different technically seasons every month, some
Yeah.
of us need that rest more than others.
Mhm.
Or, it's amazing. And for those that are very ambitious, like those that you generally probably attract and serve, because those are the ones that are really flirting with some heavy burnout,
Mhm.
again, myself included, years ago, still healing from that. That's the other shitty thing is you don't realize, like, you're like, but I made all these changes. Why am I
I
so
know.
struggling? It's like, well, you think about it. You've been going this hard, Susan, since you were a fucking teenager, and now you're in your mid 30s and you've been doing it constant. It's but just
Mhm.
having that
Mhm.
awareness and having you be that person that's like, okay, here are the tests that you need. I am
Yeah.
going to look over it. I'm going to break it down for you, explain it to you in terms that make complete sense. And then we're going to help shift this lifestyle and add in, these different supplements and whatnot. And I say this with such confidence because I've actually worked with Lady before. I saw gut and hormone. I'm like, I'm having issues with both. So this sounds great.
Yeah, and I really do. I'm really passionate and really dedicated to educating my clients because that's what I see a lot of times are hardworking women that are doing all the things, and they have a couple common symptoms. Symptoms are really your body saying, hold up, something's wrong, but
Yes.
you're having migraines or gas and bloating or constant low back pain for not a physical reason, or you can't sleep, or you're having hot flashes, or your periods are really painful. And so these women will go to the doctor saying, hey, what do I do? And they get offered a pill. They don't get any explanation as to what might be happening. We usually don't get a health history as this, hey, how is your sleep? So
Mhm.
that's what I take I'm really passionate about that because I want you to understand why we're making the recommendations and I want to understand what can contribute to how you're feeling and that you have so much control over it, right?
Absolutely.
You have
Absolutely.
control over it if you know. I mean, and that's the thing. We have to take some responsibility for our health,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I love to educate. And so I'm like, I want you to understand and then take ownership of that. And then you can choose. If you still just want to do pills and band-aid yourself up as long as you can, great. Right? I've been there. When I was writing a
Yep.
master's thesis, guess
Not
what?
sustainable, but
I
you can
was
try
on,
it.
yeah, I was on caffeine nonstop because I was working constantly and had to work on my thesis till 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And I kept saying, when I get this done, I will finally have to. And I did. When I finally got done, I was like, okay, you're done. You gotta
Yeah.
slow down now. But there are going to be seasons where we push ourselves harder, but we have to know our body doesn't like that.
Absolutely. And I love that you say that too, because, opposite ends of the spectrum, I feel like there's this expectation that women have felt pressure by to like go achieve, be a boss babe. And then there's this other end where it's like, no, you need to be very zen and health conscious. It's like, okay, either extreme is really difficult, especially when
Yeah.
you are, a working woman or a working mother and or just fucking a human. Honestly, if you're alive,
Yeah.
either ends of the
Yes.
spectrums are really difficult to hold yourself that expectation to. And however, if there are times, like you said, I like that you're realistic versus like, no, we need to
Mhm.
be zen and healthy now. You never can mess up. Like, this is important. It's like, yes. And there are certain situations, like if you're a single parent, where there are going to be times that you feel
Mhm.
like you're really having to push forward. And it's like, okay, I'm making a promise to myself, like, this sucks right now. As I get through
Yeah.
this, I'll be able to ease up. Or I'm, yeah, not doing this so well, but maybe I'm supplementing a little bit here. Like just giving yourself some
Yeah.
grace because you don't want it to be another thing you feel like you've dropped the ball on or you're failing because then you're probably just going to say screw it and keep doing the
Totally.
things that your body hates.
Totally. I mean, and as women, we really do have so many different roles that we go through as women, right? In different
Yeah.
ages. Like, think about new moms.
Hmm.
Really? Should we be telling moms that they need more sleep? Well, they do need more sleep, but that's really not an option when you have a baby,
No, unless you're
you
royalty
know?
and you have like a night nurse or whatever they're called.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, so there's certain phases in life where we're not going to be able to hit all those things perfectly.
Hmm.
But knowing that, it's like the bank account. You can't ever build up your savings account if you don't put some deposits in,
Yeah.
right? If you just completely do take withdrawals all the time, you're going to end up with an empty bank account.
Hmm.
So our physical health is like that. So if we're not getting sleep because we're have a new baby or we're working on a thesis or for whatever reason we have three jobs, then we have to double down on the things that help. So we need to be really better with our food, right? And
Yes.
do less stressful exercise and different things. So if we can't do one or two, then we have to focus on the ones that we can to kind of find that balance and understand that there's a lot of seasons in life and it's okay.
That's such a good idea. And I think that would bring a lot of grace, like to the example that you used of new moms, because another
Yeah.
pressure aspect, it's like, okay, how fast is your body going to bounce back? Okay, well, how fast are you going to get back
Yes.
to work? Like, your Instagram follower number is dropping. Like, you better get on that. It's like, dude, like you have this
Mhm.
like huge wound still in you that you are trying to heal and you're breastfeeding and there's all these different things happening, but I love the idea of like, okay, I can't really do extreme movement right now.
Mhm.
Hopefully you don't freaking want to, but I get it.
Right.
Like that's why I always joke about it because I am always and will forever be like a recovering workaholic and someone that
Yeah.
in my blueprint, I have a lot of that overambitious nature that
Oh,
I satisfy in a lot more healthy ways now. It still creeps in every now and then, but I get it. You have this internal pressure, even if you're not seeing it online, you feel it
yeah.
inside of you because it's a part of your makeup. And you're like, especially if you're in certain areas. Like I always say, Bozeman, Montana, where
Mhm.
you and I met,
Mhm.
it has a very intense energy. A lot of people move here. A lot of people are entrepreneurs and they're like hustling and they're grinding and they're earning and, making gazillions every month. And it's great and it's inspiring and it can be very discouraging. And it can be very triggering for someone, again, that is a recovering workaholic. And you feel this ping like, oh my God, I'm resting. Shit, I should be doing something like,
Yeah.
do I create an Instagram post real fast? Like what do I do? But again, for those new moms, it's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
for the betterment or the best interest of myself and my baby and my family, I'm obviously not going to move a ton right now, but I can focus on my nutrition, and
Yeah.
it's something that, is slowly building up. And speaking of nutrition, when you have people that come to you and are having all these gut issues,
Mhm.
how do you address food with them?
So it's a pretty interesting one because once again, we have to understand the system.
Yeah.
We have to understand how the system works. So I usually break it down by system. Like when we think of our digestion, we think it's just this one system. Well, it's multiple, right? It starts in our mouth. Actually, it starts with our nose. The minute we smell food, our digestive system turns on.
Well, that's
Cool,
scary.
right? Yeah, I know. That's why
Yeah.
yes. But when we eat, we have these things called teeth. I don't know, April, do you have them?
I have
I
some
have,
teeth.
yeah,
No, I
teeth,
have all
yeah.
of them.
And I always jokingly ask this question: do you know what they're for? To
Mm.
chew your food. Like a lot. They're here so that we can chew our food because that's the first step of digestion. And we need to break our food down properly so that it can get through the stomach, get all the enzymes and different things it needs to break down, and then go into the small intestine and be absorbed for nutrients. Because if your small intestine can't absorb nutrients, your body's physically starving, even though you're eating, right? You're not absorbing. And then we need to sort through all of that and then get it out the other end. The stuff that we're not using needs to come out every single day, every
Yes,
single
because
day.
that's how
And
you
so we
shed
have to talk
estrogen,
about
right? Too?
yeah,
Okay.
totally. That's how we detox our hormones, our toxins, anything that shouldn't be in our body, even metabolism, just our normal everyday. We're constantly making chemicals and things in our body that need to be out of our body.
Hmm.
So if we're not pooping every day, we run the risk of being toxic and having this backup of not yucky stuff inside of ourselves. And we feel yucky. When you don't poop, you
Literally.
feel yucky.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, being constipated is the worst thing in the world. Having
it
Crohn's
is.
disease, I told Tori, and I was like, you don't understand. Like, it is the most important thing in the world for me to poop every day.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. And so nutrition comes to that. It's like, what are the foods? There's a lot of ways to approach it, but food is it grows from the earth. It's natural. It has a vibration and an energy to it, right?
Hmm.
And so I think for a long time, at least from the fitness world, we talked about food as fuel,
Yeah,
right? You have to
I've heard
eat
that.
so that you can fuel your day. Okay, well, that's true. But for women, we need food as information. Food is information, it tells your cells how to act.
Interesting.
So if you want to be full of energy and vibrant and healthy and have good skin and nice bowel movements, you need to eat the food that tells your body to do that.
That's incredible. And have you noticed that? And I know we're trying to like stick specifically kind of on hormones, but I think it would be really important to address that. Okay,
Mhm.
your diet also though plays a vital role in your hormone health. They're not two
Yes.
separate concepts.
Yes.
And do you notice that all the gazillion clients you've worked with at this point, they do require different diets, or is it like this
Mhm.
one size fits all?
No, it's different for everyone, right? Everybody, and this is a very simplistic way of looking at it, but there's different body types, different genetics,
Hmm.
right? We're all built differently. If you talk to somebody who's a marathon runner versus somebody who just wants to sprint down a block, those are two different types of body systems, and they need different food
Yeah.
choices. And then you have where people grew up, like northern climates that are colder have less need for all of the vegetables because they're actually I know it's crazy, right?
Oh,
But think about culturally, if you didn't have mass transportation or airplanes to get your food to you, would you be eating bananas right now today, April?
right. No, you would not. And my son
They
lives
don't
off those things.
they don't grow in Montana.
That is fascinating. Do you feel like that's why those of us who did like I thrive with it? Obviously, I weave in the other fruits and vegetables I can have, but
Yes,
I eat a
yes,
ton of carnivore. So when I
yeah,
went vegan and was running these, half marathons, my body did 1,000 times worse. And you see
yeah,
these different quote, air quote right now, health
Yeah.
accounts on Instagram, they're like, no, you need to be vegan, not only because
Mhm.
it's the right thing to do, you monster, but because it's the healthiest thing to do. I'm like, do you realize kale makes me want to die? Any
Yeah.
raw vegetable other than like carrots, I have like my safe list. They hurt. I don't,
Yeah.
they don't do
Yeah.
well. But when I eat red meat and I have
Mhm.
raw butter, raw dairy, my body loves it.
Yes, everybody's totally different. And then what
Yes,
level of health your body is under affects that
absolutely.
as well. So, first of all, I'm not saying you shouldn't eat bananas. That was kind of an extreme example. But
I
we
do.
tend to eat, like you said, what other people are want us to or tell us to. Whereas if
Yeah.
we were trapped, let's say if you go camping and you had to eat off the land, that's what your body would be needing. If you lived on an island, what would you eat on the island? Or think about summertime. In on July 4th, do you ever want a hot bowl of chili? No, because that's not what your body needs in a hot summer month. But it probably wants watermelon, right? Like I
Yeah.
can go for pretty much the entire year and never think about watermelon ever. Ever.
Mhm.
But if it's hot and I'm at a barbecue and I'm like, oh, why? Because it's hydrating. And that's what your body needs. So your body has different needs in different seasons of life. So to your point, yes, we try to stay, oh, I need to eat this way all the time. Well,
Mhm.
no. Seasonally we change, and with our menstrual cycle we change. And our health status change. If we have surgery, guess what? I don't care who you are, you're going to need more protein. You have to repair your cells,
Yes,
right?
especially like after birth, all of that.
If you're super constipated and congested, you're going to need more vegetables, more things that help things run, right? You
Yes.
don't want more fat clogging up a system that's clogged up. But if, on the other hand, if you have a lot of diarrhea, you're super, super anxious all the time and you're always like this, you need more protein and fat to slow you down, balance you out. Like there's so many good things, but same thing, like you said, we're trying to run this all the time, never take a break. We do that with our exercise and our diet too. We have to eat this every single day. And we have to eat this every single day. And we have to our
That's
stress level is not the same every single day. Our body needs different things every single day, depending on the day and the situation and the state of our menstrual cycle. And are we pregnant? Are we married? Are we stressed out? Are we laying on the beach in Hawaii? Are we running? Are we jumping? Right? And we tend to just simplify everything. And we're way cooler than that. We're way more complex.
well, and why it's so imperative to not only accept and understand that we are all one of a kind. We have different strengths, different, highs, different lows. We're meant to do different things. We all have different paths. But then how our body needs cared for, especially if you're a woman, and it's going to be different throughout the month. And so, finding someone like you or something similar where it's like, okay, let's go through all of my work. Because again, this is going to be one of a kind. It's not like I can look online on Instagram or even go to a doctor who doesn't take any of my tests and they can tell me exactly what it is that I need when I need it. And it's never usually like a one and done. Like I'm constantly, I mean, it does. It can get overwhelming. When I started with holistic approach to healing and management back in 2020, it is overwhelming. And sometimes, again, if you are someone who is by nature pretty ambitious or you're a recovering workaholic,
Mhm.
without even realizing it, you're going to put that ambitious nature on your healing. You're like,
Yes,
oh, well, I pulled back with work. I'm doing great. It's like, okay, yeah, but now you're obsessively doing all of these other things.
I know.
And you know
I
what?
know.
It's great. It gets expensive, but it's great because you kind of tap into things. But it's good to kind of get to a place where you sort of are able to listen to your body. You understand your body. You learn how to understand it. You begin
Mhm.
to listen to it, and then you're like, I don't think I need as much as this thing. I'm going to kind of pull back. I'm going to lean more into this other thing. And then these tests that you talk about,
Mhm.
how often do you suggest checking back in with yourself? Because you do both the blood and the urine to test both
Mhm.
like your gut and hormone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you think about the fact that let's talk about a vacation, April.
Ooh,
Okay,
I love
let's talk
vacation.
about your yeah, I know you do. That's why we can talk about
It's
it.
pretty in
Okay,
my
let's
life.
just talk about your wedding.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
okay.
Greece.
Yeah, in Greece, all the pictures were amazing. Okay. Did you just like jump on a plane one day without a plan?
A little bit. So we got engaged in Egypt
Okay.
and we knew we wanted to get married somewhere out of the country. I mean, granted, this was 2021, and so a lot of
Yes.
places were still like, no, and Torn are like, well, yeah, we're getting married. And so we started to do all this research, and we're like, cool, you don't need the vaccine to go to Greece. Boom, that's where we're going. and
Yeah.
and we loved it. We'd never been to Greece, literally have never visited. Combed the internet, found the perfect place ever. It was so highly discounted just because travel was so low, and it turned out beautiful and incredible. We had what you would call a micro wedding. I think there was like 25 of us.
Right? But you just said it. You combed the internet. You found the best deals. You
Yeah.
did do your research.
Mm-hmm.
And then those people that could come, you made sure they were invited. They knew where they were staying. You put all this, even though it wasn't as a macro wedding, right? You still
Mm-hmm.
put in the work to make sure
Oh
that
yeah,
it was
everyone
pulled
got a
off.
document knowing
Exactly.
where to go
Right?
and what to do. Yep.
Exactly. There's an outline. If you want a vacation to go off well, you have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think of our body the same way.
Mm.
So at this point, I'm now working with women that are in their 40s and 50s transitioning to the next phase, which we'll do that in another conversation, Rachel. Right? Right. Because it's crazy that all the changes that happen. But we have to figure out our own owner's manual.
Oh, that's a good
And the
one.
way to do that is to get some lab testing. So if you are listening and you're like, how do I start? Get your annual physical with your doctor. Okay. First of all, April and I aren't saying that doctors aren't great, because they are. If something's broken, you want a doctor to fix it. Okay. I've
Mm-hmm.
had that experience. You've had that experience.
Yeah,
Doctors
same thing. Not
are
going to
they
one
save your
extreme or the
life,
other. They're all
right?
there's a lot of in between.
Yep. But if you've got insurance, you get a free blood screening every year for your metabolic panel, your blood count, and your lipids. Get it. Start it in your 20s.
I didn't know
Start it
that.
in your 20s. Do it every year, just like your report card. Get your physical report card every year. Because typically when people come to me, something's really wrong.
Yeah.
And they're coming to me at 32 or 36 or 42. And I'm like, do you have anything to compare this to? And they don't.
Nope. I
So
think
we
blood
don't,
work was one of
right?
the first times I did it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how do
Hopefully we
we
stay
know
best
what
friends.
your normal is
Mm-hmm.
if we're not assessing anything until everything's crazy, right?
Right.
So start doing your blood work. If you don't have insurance, reach out to April. Make sure you have resources. There are local, inexpensive places that you can go wherever you are located for somewhere in the ballpark of 50 to $100 to get that same panel.
Ooh, I'll add it into
I
the show notes
promise.
so they can just go look. That's amazing.
Yeah. I promise you'll be able to, you can do this. If you want to do it, invest in yourself $100 a year, right? Now, if you're like, I really want to dive into the hormone piece, I do Dutch testing, which is the urine,
Mm-hmm.
and we look at how hormones are broken down. We look at your estrogen to progesterone, so we can look at your fertility. We can look at what's affecting your moods, your acne, your PMS, all the things. I'm going to say if you start doing Dutch testing and nothing's wrong, just for fun, every couple of years, you should do it to check in. But if you're also 35 and above, every year, every
Damn it, I
year.
just turned 35. All right. So
Okay, it's time. And now with my
yay.
ladies that are 40 and above, oh, they don't get the $100 blood test. We're going in for $300 because I need a full thyroid panel, a full iron panel, inflammation markers, because your body goes through a whole other set of changes in your 40s, like complete changes. Like you won't recognize who you are anymore. You're still awesome, but you're totally changing.
So I
So
have
yeah,
5 years. Okay.
yes.
Live it up,
So
April.
literally, if you have insurance and have a health savings account, this is what that's for. If you don't have insurance, you need to create your own health savings account. Just like you would save up for this is my vacation fund. This is I'm saving up for a new car. We really should be taking responsibility to save up to take care of our own health.
Absolutely, because I mean, if your mental and physical health start to go, it's not like you're going to have a ton of time to work on your business or to go play with your kids or to take these vacations with your
Yeah.
partner or to even go to the coffee shop solo and read a book. Like, take it from experience when your body gets to the point where you have either ignored, and I mean, sometimes,
Mhm.
like, for example, when I was going through all this, I went to several different doctors and
Mhm.
everyone told me it was just stress from being a single mother or this or whatnot, or, in my head or whatever it was. And I finally found doctor number, I don't even know, 6. There was a female, ironically. All the other ones were male. Who knows? Maybe that's related. Maybe it's not. And she finally allowed me to have a colonoscopy at age
Mhm.
32 because they're like, you're just too young. You're too young. You're too young. And boom, there was Crohn's disease and a number of other things. And then also in 2018, finding out I had endometriosis. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, hey, if your natural energy isn't there, if your physical health starts to go,
Mhm.
it's going to fuck with your mental health, and it's
Totally.
just going to be this 360-degree mess. And so when we're constantly like, we don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time, well, your body's going to make time if you
Yeah.
don't choose to slow down and prioritize. And what I don't think a lot of women understand, especially, my ambitious ladies, especially my
Yeah.
ambitious moms who I love so much with my whole heart. Because again, that was and still is a huge chunk of me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our cortisol levels are so bad. And I think a lot of them are scared to even test or to go
Mhm.
look. And it's just like, no, 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 I can't. If I slow down, if I take time to look at this, everything will implode. I run 40 different businesses and like whatever's going on. And it's scary. Like even one of the ladies I'm working
Mhm.
with right now, sometimes I get discouraged because I'm like, fuck, I've been doing so much work. What do you mean my nervous system is still flipped or switched or
Mhm.
whatever it is? And then I'm like, you know what? I bet you anything, if we grabbed 50 different women from even around Bozeman, brought
Mhm.
them in, they're going to have some pretty similar issues, if not more severe, because I have been doing so much work on myself for the past 3 years and I still have eons to go. And
Totally.
it's crazy. Yeah. The cortisol, the stress.
Mhm.
I follow a lot of amazing accounts where they talk about, some indications you can look for, like, well, how's your sleep? How's your sex drive? How is your appetite? If all of those are shit, you really need to check in with what's going on with your
Yes.
body.
Yes. So, two things I want to bring up. So, let's go back to that circadian rhythm, right? Cortisol and melatonin. Cortisol gives you energy, and that's what happens when we're stressed. We have all this surge of cortisol. But in the circadian rhythm, when the sun goes down, we're not supposed to be making any more cortisol.
Mm.
Okay. Cortisol and melatonin cannot be high at the same time. One
Oh,
has
it's
to
like
be low.
impossible.
It's
Okay.
impossible. They work in opposite ways. So if you think of the sun and moon, just think about if you're out, okay, you're Hawaii or camping because it makes it easy. You're outside. You're
Hmm.
outside. What happens when the sun goes down? You want to sit by the
When you're
campfire and
trying to go to bed.
relax,
Yeah. Want to go to
right?
bed.
And then you go in your tent or whatever. What happens when the sun comes up? You can't even sleep in. Like you're
Too
like, I
hot.
just want to sleep in, but it's like hot and the sun's up. That's our natural rhythm. We're supposed to have this surge of cortisol and then it's supposed to go down so that we can repair and sleep at night.
You mean we're
Okay.
not supposed to be on a screen until 2 a.m.?
No,
What?
no. And instead, we have this chronic stress and this chronic cortisol. That's why it affects our sleep. Now,
Yes.
the part of the nervous system, we have two parts. We have that fight or flight, which is cortisol is regulated in that fight or flight. And
Hmm.
we have the rest and digest phase. Okay. Same thing. We can't be stressed and have good digestion at the same time. It's impossible. The digestive system does not work properly when you are stressed.
Oh, it's so hard. And then if your digestive system doesn't work, I promise you, like I said, it completely screws with your mental health. Like our
And your
gut
fertility
is
doesn't work
important.
either.
Mm-mm.
You
Oh,
don't
your
want sex either. So if
system.
stress is here, you don't want sex. If stress is here, digestion doesn't work. So yeah, so your point was right on. If you're getting those symptoms, you've got to adjust your stress.
Gosh.
Mhm.
And then just that in itself is also stressful.
Yes, it is, and that's what I want to say too. So this is a caveat. If you're reaching out for help with someone, I don't, and it's not. And I'm not saying reach out to me. You can. I'll help
Mhm.
you, but whatever practitioner you reach out to, if they expect you to be perfect and cut out all of your stress, that's not real life.
No,
That's
it's
not
like
real life. We find the
just
strategies. Okay,
meditate every
we try to find a balance
Mhm.
because you said it perfectly. There's never going to be no stress.
Mm-mm.
And that healing journey, it took a long time for me to get there. A long time. And when I finally got this beautiful cortisol curve in my testing, I was like, yes.
Wait, wait, wait.
And
So
then
how do you know, how does that exist? Like, where do you find that? How do you get the curve?
so in
Give me
testing,
the
there you can do different cortisol testing where you take
blood.
samples four time urine or saliva are the best.
Oh, okay.
And you take samples right when you wake up, a little bit later in the day, one at dinner time and one at night. So you should have this. I'm awake, I'm slowing down, and I'm tired for sleep. But most of
Oh.
us have this, right? And then things don't, or we have that flat line where you're
Yes.
exhausted all the time. And so we want to get this really nice curve. And so I finally got there, and it took years. It didn't just happen overnight. We're talking, I had to manage my stress, manage my workouts, eat better, get rid of food sensitivity, the whole thing. And then perimenopause hit. Then my hormones naturally shifted. I was like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I start figuring that out. I'm like, okay, we're going to be okay. Then my mom died.
Oh my
Okay, I'll start to cry. Then 5 months later, my colon twisted and I had emergency surgery. Thank God for doctors.
I remember
Okay.
that.
Yeah. And then we moved and built a new house. You want to say stress? Stress doesn't go away. We have to figure out the ways to balance that, but we deserve to balance that and to have ample recovery, right? When you lose a loved one, you don't recover in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a major trauma, you just don't. And as women, we think that we could just be okay.
Yeah, just push
And we
through it.
carry that trauma, right? And it affects our digestion and our sleep and our sex drive and our ability to do anything. So thank you for letting me chat about this. You could tell I get real passionate
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
And that's
We have
great.
to have
That's
periods. We
amazing.
have to poop.
That's what this space is for. Well, and it's again, it's not a one and done. When you
No.
start the journey of self connection, of healing, of growth, of all of that, it is a lifelong commitment.
Yes.
And there's this misconception where it's just like, oh, shouldn't I be fixed by now? It's like there are different layers that you are healing, that you are mending. There may be certain ailments, but it's again this lifelong thing. Because, like you had said,
Mhm.
maybe you get to a point where your stress is very manageable and at a great
Mhm.
place, and then a big life event happens, or
Yeah.
you get to this great place and then you get pregnant and you have a baby, or menopause comes, or whatever it is. And it's just like, okay,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you've taken a step backwards or you've ruined everything. It's
No.
just another layer to address. I feel like the
Mhm.
biggest thing is it's an acceptance piece, uh,
Yes.
where I mean, all humans need to do this, but especially women. This acceptance piece around, I'm going to be a work in progress, both mentally and physically, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
okay. It can be overwhelming and stressful and lonely and irritating and all the things, but it's also very magical and empowering. And you start to
Totally.
become one of the few that is actually not stuck in autopilot.
Yeah. And right, everybody's race is different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the thing too.
Absolutely.
Like we have to readjust, but we have to realize that everybody's path is different. Our path is different. We don't have to follow someone else's path, right? I got my master's degree in my 40s, for heaven's sakes,
Matter
right?
of fact, we shouldn't want to
Right?
follow someone
Yeah.
else's path. Like we are all truly so. I mean, God, this is what I do for a living now, so I could talk about this forever. It's like
I know.
we are all born with such different blueprints. If we are
Yes.
constantly spending our lives seeing how someone else eats, seeing how someone else exercises, seeing how someone else is caring for their body, and we're trying to mimic that because
Yeah.
everyone in my humblest opinion, everyone's doing their best for the most part, generally.
Yeah. Mhm.
If for where they're at in their life. And a lot of times people do mean well online. Okay. With the
Mhm.
information that they have, they're doing their best and they mean well. Yet sometimes they're like, okay, if you want to be healthy and you want to be happy, this is exactly what you need to do. Pay
Yeah.
me 20,000 a month and I'll teach you how to do it. And it's like, okay. And I say this because I've done this so many different times, signing up for other things and then being really distraught when it's not working for me. You
Yeah.
try the thing, whether it's business coaching, health coaching, whatever it is, and
Mhm.
you're trying to do for yourself what worked for them, and it's not landing. Maybe some things
Yeah.
will land, but a
Mhm.
lot of pieces just aren't aligning, and then you blame yourself and you're like, this is a me problem, versus no, that thing just
Mhm.
wasn't meant for your own unique
Yeah.
body experience, health, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly it. And once we can be more compassionate with ourselves and understand that, we don't need to do all these big crazy programs or follow exactly. We just have to pick some foundations and be consistent.
Yeah,
So
just
I
get
just
those
did a
jumping
thing
off
talking about
points.
consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being consistent in drinking water, going to bed. That those small things consistently are gonna be the magic. They're gonna be the magic in the long run. And then the other piece is compassion because something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just get to go up the hill. No, you're going to hit a rock and fall back down. Something's going to get in your way. It just that's how life is. You have to be compassionate to yourself when those times happen. That guess what? You might eat chocolate cake,
Yeah,
and that's
or
okay.
Lord, when you have kids, and it's just
Oh
like, no, that's what I always have to tell my husband as well. Like, hey, if you want this
yeah,
perfect morning routine all to yourself, yeah, you're gonna have to get up a lot earlier. Because,
totally right. I
like,
know.
again, that's another thing that I see happening is we follow these people online, and we're like, okay, this is exactly how their day goes. Like, what the fuck is not aligning? I'm like, honey, they don't have kids. Like, why are you trying to do a 3 hour morning routine? Like, yes, have some
Totally.
kind of flow. Like sometimes I am able to do my morning flow that's very loose and not super lengthy in the morning without him. And sometimes he wakes up early, and I'm not going to shame him and get pissed and be like, go back to bed. I have to do my morning routine. Like, sometimes it comes in chunks. Sometimes I have to do it later. Like, but for the most part, like, I know what my body needs, and, I
Mhm.
give it to myself in whatever ways I can. But then when we have more kids, everything's going to shift, and there's going to be more healing, and,
Totally.
you know, not blaming yourself, not blaming your family, not, blaming
Yeah.
anyone. It's just how it is.
And then to that point, April, don't you think that we need to have the conversation about being nicer to other people around us too? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because we have this perception like, oh, she probably doesn't work out very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she might have just had an abdominal surgery and her mom died. And that's why she gained 10
Yeah.
pounds. You know what I mean? Like, we really need to celebrate every woman where they are and
Mm.
talk about what they're doing awesome at, no matter what they're doing awesome at. It might just be sweeping the floor once a month. That's awesome,
I
right?
love that.
So that kindness, that kindness is a constant journey too. You're not just kind one day. You have to learn how to do that. So we need to be kind to ourselves and then also recognize those other people, because when we're kind to those people that need a little lift, they're going to feel better and take better care of themselves too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's just like that, the memes that have circulated around, or these different things where it's like, okay, if you see a mom on her cell phone, do not assume that's all she's been doing all day. Maybe she just was mom of the fucking year for 3 hours straight, and now she's
Totally.
just, dropping into her phone for a hot second. Or when you're out at dinner and you see a kiddo with their iPad on their headphones, don't assume they just live on it 24/7. Like, a lot of people, moms specifically, are doing the best that
Yeah.
they can. And like you had
Right.
said, I get pretty candid about since 2020, since and it's funny because you would assume it'd be the opposite. It's like, but you're trying to get healthier. Shouldn't you be getting skinnier? It's like, actually, I put on fucking 40 pounds. Because you think about what I was doing, like I was, running
Hmm.
and running and
Yeah.
training and being really specific with how I was eating. And, it's a lot of different things. It was the fact that it happened in 2020, the medication that they put me on to like shock my body, actually put on an immediate 20 pounds that never went anywhere. And then hormones, fertility stuff. Like, it's not like I'm being a lazy piece of shit, or, oh man, April really let herself go. And I'm like,
Right.
but you don't understand.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know the story that everybody is living, and we need to be more kind because it's going to happen to us. We're going to have a situation where we are doing the best we can, and it may not look like it to everybody else. So, the more we can be compassionate to others, we're going to, I mean, women are so powerful. Women are freaking phenomenal creatures, right? We are brilliant. We are wired to be, I mean, different person every month. That's how cool we are. We can be 28 different people. We can tackle
And I
800
am.
things at once, right? Right? I know, right?
I'm so many
You're like, who? I
personalities.
don't like that one. But we're really phenomenal, and we have all of this to offer the world if we would love ourselves, take care of ourselves, and be kind to the other women in our lives.
That's
We're,
so good. Rather than competitive. And it's
yes,
so, I don't know if this has always existed or if it got worse with social media, especially when like this wave or this fad of like, okay, well, every woman should own her own business. That was definitely a thing that like exploded. And I love that you had said always assume people are doing their best, because especially with business, like, business is going to ebb and it's going to flow. And sometimes we're really showing up and great big things are happening. And other times we're hibernating and we're pulling back. And it doesn't mean that we have failed or we have dropped the ball or that we
mhm,
suck or, oh, well, I guess they give up. It's like business should be in seasons too. Like, God damn, we are not meant
yes,
to. Yes, I agree. Women can do anything they put their mind to, and we are not meant to carry out and grow, like a man. Like, my God,
totally,
it's
totally.
impossible.
No. And that's, I think that's what I love about what you do is help women understand that. And
Mhm.
that's why we connect so well, because that's what I want them to understand what their body can do for them. And if they want that mental clarity and they want to be able to take things on, they also need to have rest, need to have fun, need to
Yeah.
connect, right? And all those things are really important for our overall health, well being. And guess what? We're going to contribute a lot more to society and our families and all the things when we are healthy,
Yes, it's
mentally,
like that
physically, all
natural
of it.
energy concept. Yeah, if you're literally only
Yes.
powered from coffee and energy drinks and nothing else, like, there's natural energy is a very big indicator of like, okay, like,
Yes.
I think some things are working here, versus like when it's just gone, it's like, oh my God, how am I supposed to contribute to any of these other things
Mhm.
that are important to me.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And burnout, if you're listening, you know if you're starting to get burned out. The symptoms are
Oh, yeah.
pretty damn clear. And knowing that it doesn't like you had said, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I have been honestly addressing burnout since 2019. No, maybe even 2018. I remember when I moved here, it's funny, I joke with my husband all the time. I was like saying yes to everything because it's like, if you want to live a full life, you better say yes to everything. If you want to be a successful wedding photographer, you say yes to everything.
Ah,
And I was. And then it started with like, oh my God, I can't do this. And the thought, I feel like it starts with, like you said, the signs your body sends you, the
yeah.
thoughts you start to have, the
Yep.
resentment you start to have for certain things, the
Yes.
guilt for not being with your family more, the physical symptoms start. Like, my goodness. And it's not this doomed sentence. Like, I know we talk about how it's not an overnight fix and it's going to be something you'll be working on the rest of your life. But when you do start to address it, it starts to heal. Just even when you're like, okay, I accept that this is just too much and, something needs to change. Because I feel like also as women, we get in this point where we're like, no, 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 I can't drop the ball on any of this. All these balls I'm juggling, they're all glass. It's like, I promise
Ah,
you, not every single one of them is glass.
mm-mm.
There is something that can give. There is something that can shift, even if it's minor. For mine at the time, because I was a single mom who had my child majority of the time, I had this full-time business. I did have a lot of glass balls, but there were a few that I could take out. Those were networking events and coffee dates. And I was like,
Yeah.
God damn it, why I don't even enjoy these. Why am I doing these business collaborations that I don't even like?
Yes, it's true. No, I haven't given this talk for a while, but it's very powerful that your yes has no power until you learn to say no.
That's good.
Right? So there are a lot of good things like, yeah, I should volunteer at the cake thing for school. And yes, I should sing in the choir at church. And yes, I need to they're all good things. Guess what? You
Yeah.
have to say no to good things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because the minute you have that resentment, and I've done it with work and with other things, when I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have said no. You need to learn to start saying no. I guarantee you will not feel bad about it after you do it once.
Absolutely. I think by default I say no now, and then I'm, oh wait. Actually, no, I do want
Like,
to do that. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, well, Lainey, this is amazing. We'll start to wrap up here soon. But where can people contact you? Where's the best way? And then what tests you said they can do, like a blood test to kind of test gut stuff, the urine test for hormone, and then what was the one you talked about, the cortisol with the
so
saliva?
yeah, so I use Dutch testing, which is a dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. And with that full test, we look at adrenal health, your cortisol rhythm, and we
Mm,
look at your estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, melatonin, cortisol, all the things. So it's a pretty comprehensive test of all those hormone systems, which is pretty phenomenal. And then your blood work, if you're looking at thyroid, you're always going to do that in blood work. So there's different
mhm.
kinds of tests for different things. So make sure you understand those and you can learn them. But that annual physical you get from the doctor, that includes your glucose, your liver enzymes, your cholesterol. That's really important information. Start there. And as you're looking at gut health, there's stool tests we can do to look at your microbiome. There's blood work we can do for food sensitivities. There's a lot of really cool things that we can do to really investigate and figure out what's going on with you. So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. So, for example, I just had, when was it? Last, I think February, I
Mhm.
had work done with like the modern fertility, and I had a full $300 blood panel done. So you could take that information that's a year old now and
Mhm.
compare it to information we would do now.
Yes. Yes. Totally. So if you're the one thing I'll say, so yes, I want to see your trends. We want to see if you're getting better, if something's slightly changing.
Yeah.
Um, but if someone comes to me, they're like, okay, I'm having all this and I have blood work from last year. No, we have to get right now, right? Because the body
Yeah.
changes every day.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
if we're going to attack something right now and really figure it out, we want to get fresh blood work, fresh data, kind of fresh, new,
Literally,
updated,
Dawn.
current. How that's probably the better word, current.
I want your
But
fresh
yes,
urine.
yeah. But I want to see your past results. We want to look at
Mhm.
those things, and it's really important. So yeah, it's a really great piece. And if you're ready to kind of dive in and get that data, yes, you really should take that opportunity to take responsibility for your health.
Well,
Oh
and you
yeah.
know what? Those ambitious women that are listening, and I know I attract a gazillion of them, almost look at it as like, oh, okay, now you know how a lot of ambitious women we are competitive, we love awards, we
Yes.
love like making more money or having other certifications on our wall behind us. Well, look at your blood work or your hormone makeups is the same kind of thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, here's my jumping off point. Here's my blood
Mhm.
work. Here's my hormone stuff. Okay, now I have assignments. She's telling me what to do so I
Yeah.
can shift lifestyle, shift diet, take these supplements. When I check back in, it's like it's another way to achieve. So as long as you're still doing it in a healthy fashion, like I
Totally.
swear, when people would tell me, "Well, April, you need to become this completely different Zen person," I'm like, I can't turn off who I am. Like, yes, there are certain things I can do. I gave up one of my businesses because at the time I had two. There were a lot of shifts I could make to manage my stress. Yet that ambitious nature in me, for example, I mean, there's a lot of it in my blueprint, but say the Enneagram. I'm an Enneagram 3 wing 2. I am an achiever. I can't just turn that off.
No.
Yes, I can focus and make it as healthy as possible and make sure I'm in the high road or the mid road far
Yeah.
more than the low road, but I can't just turn it off. It's a huge part of me. And when you try and make me turn it off, like when people are like, well, no, just stretch. Don't move your body anymore. Or, don't do this, that, or that. Not. I'm like, you know how hard that is? Because then my mental health is starting to get
Totally.
worse. And it's
Hmm.
this battle inside of me. So you can still find little ways. Like I said, for me, it's like always checking in. I don't know if I told you this. I had a colonoscopy in December. They couldn't even tell I had Crohn's disease.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
that's
like,
amazing.
right? They're like, all right, you don't need to come back for 5 years. Which was amazing. I mean, still I have some stuff going on with fertility
Yeah.
that we're addressing and looking more into. But that in itself was so cool. And for me, my overachieving ass, I was like, fuck yeah, like what a cool achievement.
That is
Yeah.
because I mean we tend to think that once we go down a road we can't come back, right? Especially when it
Yeah.
comes to our health, but that's not true. It's not true. I love that. That is like the coolest celebration moment ever.
It's
Oh my
so neat.
gosh.
It's so funny. So my mom's a nurse and she was the one that was on my ass constantly to take medication because I
Yeah.
haven't taken medication for Crohn's since I only took it for a few months after I was diagnosed in 2020 and just
Mhm.
intuitively I
Yeah.
was like, no, I need to get off of this. And even the doctor agreed that saw me in December. And he's just like, wow, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. We'll see you in 5 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But to speak to what you had mentioned earlier, I understand it's hard. And when you feel like you
Mhm.
have to kind of take a shift or maybe even, a quote, air quote, pause to address something when you're an overachieving woman and you're like, oh my God, but I'm going to fall behind. People like someone's going to jump ahead of me and I'm going to fall behind and I'm going to lose this or I'm going to lose that. It's like, okay, but you're not. I know it feels that way. I know it feels that way. You're not. You're going to come back stronger, healthier, more empowered, all the things. But when you zoom out and you look at your life and you're like, huh, what is more important right now? These wins that I have just
Mhm.
right in this moment, or time with my family, or longevity, the way that,
Yes.
I'm going, you're going, we're going, this isn't sustainable.
No.
And so
No.
this pause now, if again you want to call it a pause, this pause now could make it so you have 10, 20, 30, 40 extra years, which is
Totally.
huge.
Yeah. No, April, you just said it perfectly because if you think about it, we're different. At every stage of life we're different. Who you are at 16 is different than 20 and 27 and 32 and 38 and 45. But if you don't take a pause to reflect on what actually is important to you, you get caught in that rat race and you're not doing
Yeah.
anything you're passionate about. You're just thinking, I have to, and I have to, and I have to, and my health and my well-being are suffering. So that pause, super important to reflect. What the hell do I really want out of life? Or what do I actually like doing? Right?
Yeah. What's the
You
most
can't have you
important?
can't have those breakthroughs, health,
Mhm.
physical, mental, unless you pause and really take a moment to look in. And we really are our own best teacher and own best doctor if we can learn how to
We are.
tune in.
Absolutely. And like having these little tools though of the people that have either been there or do that for a living is so helpful, so
Yeah.
helpful. So I am so thankful that you exist. And that's why it's not that I had a distrust for my doctor. It just really turned me off that she wasn't at all interested in anything natural or holistic for managing and healing my Crohn's. And so
Mhm.
when I found you and I learned that you weren't going to shame me or push this, that, or whatnot on me, but rather guide me to information. You were guiding me there, educating me on my options, and then being like, okay, these are different things you can do. Here's these supplements. Literally, it's right here. Just click it. Boom, you're good to go. Here's these different meal options. Like, I mean, I could talk about it forever. We'll wrap, but I'm so appreciative of you and so thankful you exist. And I'm so excited for hopefully many listeners to be like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I should probably try that.
Well, I'm grateful to be here today and grateful for the work you are doing because you said it again. We need people to support us, right? We're not meant to go at this alone, and we're not good at everything. I'm not good at what you do. You're not good at what I do. You know what I mean? We all have different skill set. And once again, if we work together and lean on each other and ask for support, we're all going to do a lot better.
Oh, that's so good. I asked you this earlier, but then I think we got excited and went off on another topic. Where is the place? Where is
You
the best
and me,
place
really?
to get in touch? Where is the best place to get in touch with you? I'll add it in the show notes, but just if they're listening and they're like, oh shit, I got to find her right now.
So I'm most active on Instagram, and it's laini.gray on Instagram. And then my website is graystarhealth.com.
Beautiful. Again, I will add all that in the show notes. Laini, thank you so much. You are a godsend. And yeah, I'm going to go send you a message so we can test out my pee and all the good things.
All right. Thank you, April. Have a great day.